Open your mind's door to JSNIP 4. Open your mind's door to JSNIP 4. American dream, relocated to Tennessee. Now he's on 10 acres, GMO free. Planting info seeds in the minds of the sheep.
Well, been reading the very latest WebBot report, which is actually called the IDR reports, immediacy data reports. He's not actually doing it in a report fashion. He's now talking and speaking, kind of reading the WebBot report, if you will, in a sense. But it's a lot shorter than the normal ones he used to do, because they're shorter chunks of it, and he's trying to release one like every week, that kind of thing, sometimes every 2 weeks. And so I started listening to the one from I think the 11th or so. There's another one on the 18th, and then there's another one that was just released on the 26th, and I just started listening to that one, more than halfway through with that one. And I was going to kind of go back and just play it and take notes like I used to do. I used to read it and take notes to do a summary. Now I can just listen to him and take notes as he's speaking about important things. So I haven't finished listening to it, so I want to get back to finish listening to it to do a report, which I'm hoping to do tomorrow. But based off of what I can remember him saying, which I probably missed a few things already trying to remember it, but some things stood out to me, and I think I'm going to go into some nature and talk about it. So let's get on out of him. Got us some blackberry plants right here. Now take a look at this view. Are you kidding me right now? Alright, so if I can get myself into this view here. I'm sorry, but that's just awesome. Alright, it's just awesome living out here. Peace and quiet, wilderness. I don't know if you saw a minute ago, but a little bunny rabbit ran across the trail while I was coming back here. That's kind of cool. There's actually a big deer stand right over here that you can't see, but I need to pull this up a little bit. So, from the last few robot reports, I can remember him talking about a big financial institution or bank is fixing to fail. I recall that in some older WebBot reports talking about that would be coming. Now that he's looking at the immediacy data, which in the WebBot world there's different types of or different time frames of data. One of them would be, for example, the immediacy data. Immediacy data means from now, short distance out. Short term would be maybe several weeks out to a few months out. You know, midterm or long term, whatever, would be many months out to possibly a year to 2 years out, and then long term would just be years out. And he used to mention that in the older reports. But this new thing he's doing now is just called the immediacy data reports, meaning it's the shortest, what's coming the soonest. And I have not been following him since he started it in I guess it was January or thereabouts. And some other people that subscribe to me and visit my websites and stuff like Realist News or freespeak.net have been telling me, hey man, you know these things have been pretty damn accurate since January and February. And I've heard that, so I said, now that I'm situated out here in Tennessee and I've got my bills handled, I know what my finances and everything are, man, it ain't gonna hurt to go ahead and start subscribing to this report, which is like $30 a month, but he gets like 3 or 4 out a month. So anyways, he did say that this bank failure should be coming soon. It's a big bank or financial institution, quite large. Something along the lines of that, this bank or this failure has something to do with the Irish, whether it's in Ireland or it's in America, but there's street names that have to do with an Irish theme, or Irish type of street names or surroundings or something to do with that culture or names, etc. So he said that we don't know where. It's interesting though, and this was from several weeks ago, by the way. This is what I'm referring to right now, that report, that Webbot report. And he said, having said that, I noticed that Ireland and the Irish have some major bond failings, big time, and their banks are now in deep, deep trouble all of a sudden, which was not anything Max Kaiser didn't say would be coming anyways. So here it is, of course, and they're gonna have to deal with that. But I didn't actually see a bank fail per se, so I don't know that has happened yet or not, or if it's just the language surrounding the problem over in Ireland that would make you think there's some kind of failure. Because again, with the thing with Cyprus where they had a bail-in, not a bailout, and the bail-in is rather than go to the taxpayer like a bailout would be to go to the taxpayer and saying, okay, we just gave this bank tons of money on your your behalf. That's a bailout. A bail-in is saying all of you people in the bank that have the bank and have more money in their account than what's insured, like the FDIC insurance. And in America, I believe that's now $250,000. But in other words, if you had more than $250,000, you're going to be the one that takes a haircut because there's going to be a bail-in to save the bank. And that's what a bail-in is. So I don't think that this bank has failed. I think this thing in Ireland, even though it sounds kind of like some crap is failing over there, so that another bail-in's about to take place, I don't quite see it as it happened yet, because he said there's one thing in particular regarding this failure, and then that is the bank is going to, or financial institution, it should be a bank, is going to go, the way he worded it was how the data came to him. So he said it was kind of like the bank raided the safety deposit boxes of its customers in order to try to save itself somehow or make good on a loan it got through another financial institution or something like that. But he said that the interesting thing is the way the data was coming across was that it was as if the bank is over here, but there's a separate institution, down the street, let's say, or in another part of the town or whatever. And the bank somehow went over there, was able to get the keys to their vaults or their safety deposit boxes for the customers, take something out such as gold, allocated account, gold, take it out, and then use it to do whatever it had to do with. Without telling anybody. How they were given the keys or whatever is unknown, how they got in, etc. But somehow they're going to make it sound like, well, since it's a subsidiary of our company, or since it's related to us somehow, maybe not even a subsidiary, we have the right to go and get that out because it's ours. And the account holders who realize that something just got taken out of their safety deposit boxes are not happy at all. So there's going to be some very big violence coming in that manner when these banks decide, or this particular bank, at least the start of it, starts to do that and think that they're going to get away with it. It talks about some more shaking and stuff. The odd thing was, he's like, we cannot tell if this is an earthquake, if this is some kind of impact of something. There's shaking in Mexico, there's shaking in other areas that have the appearance that it could be an earthquake, but it could also be something else. And he said he's not sure if it's related to the global coastal event, which has not happened yet, but he said we still have until around June or July or so to see it. And if it has something to do with that thing, a meteor or something slamming into the ocean, let's say, for example, that's the global coastal event. That would cause shaking around different parts of the earth. Not necessarily an earthquake, although it could cause earthquakes simply by the blast force. Again, he's not sure. There's going to be, and this is an older Red Bot reports, but he's now seeing it in the shorter term data, the immediacy data, where there's going to absolutely be attacks on media personnel, for sure. The whole meme of government people going and hiding, which he was calling hidey holes, going in their little hidey holes, that's still in the mix. There's something going on with that that's going to be coming soon. The latest report, which is the one I just started listening to, I have not completed, which is I think the 26th of this month, April, where he said something along the lines of the Department of Homeland Security, they're not going to go after a certain group of people. In other words, like anyone who's a conspiracy theorist that we've determined, like this kind of group, they're not going to go after them that way. It's not going to be about like what type of thing you are into. If you're into conspiracies, they're going to put you on this little group. They're not doing that. What he said he's seen coming for the Department of Homeland Security is that they're going to go geographically to certain areas. Number one, they don't have the manpower to just start going after all these different areas in force. Let's just say to get the conspiracy theorists here, here, and here. They can't do that. So they're, I guess, opting to just go into certain areas geographically, is what he called it, geographical areas, where they're going to go in and start their crap and, try to force their will on the people. There's going to be some fighting, for sure. I'm not sure how out of hand it gets or whatever, but from what he says, that no matter how it goes, the Department of Homeland Security and them don't stand a chance, ultimately. So that does not mean that you're not going to see crap happening in the beginning, or anything like that, that to show that they're losing. But he doesn't know. Ultimately, it's a failure, plain and simple. And because from what he's getting from the data, it feels like they realize we're behind, guys. We are behind. We just got to go. Just go with Plan B or whatever. We got to go. So in them doing that, being in the rush that they're in to get this stuff done, because other crap's not on their timeline, and now it's forcing them to do other things. It's like, all right, just go with it. And the Department of Homeland Security loses because of that. Basically, that big push forward into tyranny does not work, because they probably should have waited a little longer, is what he's saying, but opted to just hurry up and get done because they're running out of time. So that kind of fails. But it's going to be geographic locations where they decide to just implement it. He did talk about travel restrictions and that kind of thing. Which again, this has been an older WebBot data as well. But having listened to what the Department of Homeland Security insider said, that was talking to the Hagman folks, the son and father team there, which I think I mentioned. I was on their radio show 2 or 3 times talking about stuff like this. But he had an insider that basically said, "Here's look for the precious metals basically to drop noticeably around." He didn't say the month. He said around springtime of 2013. When that happens, it's go time. It's gonna everything we're talking about that the Department of Homeland Security insider gave him is gonna start coming out. You're gonna start seeing it. So he said, all right, we'll just have to wait. Well, that was in December. He said that, and I reread it recently. And sure enough, we had the metals get smashed, and then we have all this other crap taking place. So that's interesting, isn't it? And you start to see the financial system cracking again. That's interesting now, all of a sudden, isn't it? So back on the Department of Homeland Security thing, that guy said that they would use gasoline shortages as a means of stopping people from moving around. In other words, putting a lockdown to where you can't travel freely. But rather than come out and do it like the boot thugs, or thug boots of Hitler's days, Nazis, where they just, have guns in people's hands everywhere, the red coats or whatever they used to call them. And actually, they were the brown coats, excuse me. Red, I think that was way before that. Anyways, they were just in your face. It's a dictatorship. You're not moving. Papers, please. That kind of thing. They're not going to do that. The way they're going to do it is, this is not the WebBot. This is according to the Department of Homeland Security insider that talked to Doug and Joe Hagman. But it kind of made me think about this, so that's why I'm mentioning it, because of the WebBot. travel restrictions keep coming up now, more in the closer term data, I should say, because they've always been in there. And I'm thinking, well, if they use the gasoline shortages as an excuse as to why you can't travel, well, they've accomplished the same thing. And again, we've had at least a 400-year supply of oil sitting in Alaska near Prudhoe Bay, just like Lindsey Williams said, off of Gull Island. They don't call it Gull Island anymore, from what he said. It's there. Now, the question is, have we been tapping into that for the last 40 years in order to keep the oil market in the world flush with oil whenever we decide to destroy the price? Because you notice, it's not like people stop driving and, people still drive and do stuff. So in order to fake out the Middle East and stuff, we may have had to have, under the table or off the radar, flushed the world full of oil, so that when Saudi Arabia says we're dropping production like they did in December 2008 and said it was $40 to $50 a barrel oil back then, just like Lindsey Williams said, by the way, and they dropped it 2 weeks later. They dropped production, and 2 weeks later it was down to $40 a barrel. Well, what about supply and demand? We can't let the Saudis know this, or the Middle East. So I have a sneaky suspicion, just my personal opinion, that we've been tapping that oil that we've had in America, in Alaska, and even though it was 400-year supply for America, if we've been dumping it on the world scene, it may not be. However, that's still an awful lot of oil in 40 years. I still think most of it, or potentially all of it, is there, which is why they've been running the pipeline. And I know in North Dakota, there's a major oil boom. There's a new oil show coming on TV now about people getting filthy rich in North Dakota, because of that kind of stuff, because of oil. So the pipelines are being built, just like Lindsey Williams said, the big giant U.S. Liberty rig, it's already in Alaska. It's the biggest one ever made. And when he said it a year and a half ago, whatever it was, I looked, and sure enough, it was in the process of being towed over there, on standby to deal with this thing. But they're going to use it as an excuse to say travel restrictions, and then once they feel they've got their little power grab, now we'll let loose on America. Hey, we just found this massive pool of oil in North Dakota and in Alaska. Oh my God, the Bauxite oil reserve, whatever. You're gonna hear all this crap. America, God has blessed America once again. We are energy independent. Blah 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 nonsense. But they want you to feel the pain of $6, $7, $8 a gallon gas at the pump, so that when they bring it back down to $3.50, $4, whatever. $4 to $4.50, who knows where they're going to stop it, you'll feel like, hey, great, screw you Middle East, trying to charge us $6 and $7 a gallon. And then our friends BP and Shell Oil and the rest of them, Exxon, they're going to charge us $4.50 in a gallon, and we'll think they're the saviors. When they're using our oil, who in the hell do they think they are to dig in our own soil in this country that we own as the public, and then have the nerve to tell us through their paper game Ponzi scheme on Wall Street, it's how they set the price, but have the nerve to tell us what we're going to have to pay for a gallon of gas every day. It is a privilege for them to be allowed to dig on our soil in America, deep down or wherever they're getting it from, or in the oceans offshore that we are still in our country. It's a privilege, so I don't know who the hell they think they are. So that's one thing. A little bit off the webbot there, but it is kind of goes hand in hand with that, because I think that's how they're going to do it. So that's another thing to worry about. He does see electricity grids going down. It is potentially, and looks like it's from the global coastal event, but it does not appear, he says, that all electrical grids will be down. But he can't say which ones, of course, or this area or that area. He's not sure. But it does not look like everything goes down. So there's still something going on there. And I know that this year, allegedly anyways, should be the solar maximum of this cycle, the 11-year solar cycle. And I remember the articles from NASA saying that it was going to be, whenever this cycle kicked in, the maximum, it's going to be more powerful than an 8,000 years worth of solar cycles. And these cycles happen every 11 years roughly. And I know this last one started late and whatever, which is why they said, well, it should be in 2013. Maybe it's 2014. Maybe it's between 2013 and 2014. I have no idea. At the same time, if this major global coastal event does not happen by June or July of this year, I'm not going to write it off, simply because remote viewing, such as the whole global coastal event thing tied in with this year, is because Courtney Brown, the remote viewer guy with his team, said that they did sessions on 2008 prior to that date, June of 2008, and then again June 2013. This was before 2008, and everything looked fine for the remote viewing in 2008. It did not look fine in 2013 at the same locations they remote viewed. There was something that happened, like a global coastal event, so to speak. The only problem I have with this is people like Ed Dames, who is also the remote viewing guy. I remember him talking about the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Supposedly was supposed to happen, and I want to say, don't quote me, but it should have happened by like 2008, something like that. I don't know the exact year, but the point is he missed it, the date. I want to say they were expecting it by 2008. It didn't happen. It could have been as early as 07 or 06. I don't remember. But the detail were incredible. And then 2011 rolled around, right? March 11th, 2011, and Fukushima happened. Nuclear disaster. And then we went and listened to the Art Bell Coast to Coast, or whatever it was, Coast to Coast radio show, the host there, talking directly with that guy, the remote viewer, Ed Dames, and I listened to the show from back then. And just to refresh my memory, what did he say again? And he mentioned it in detail. That was incredible, because how it happened, where it happened, the way it happened was unbelievable. But he was expecting it years ago, and it happened in 2011. The webbot's the same way. So while a lot of people are going to say, oh, you know, the mine counter 2012, that's over. Man, the old global coastal event, that didn't happen. I'm not so sure it's not going to happen soon. You know, having this data, knowing that it's not perfectly timed, is still a massive benefit, knowing that it's going to, you know, such and such is going to happen soon, but we don't know how soon. Same kind of thing, you know, goes with anything. It's better to know something than nothing, and at least know when you might expect it, that kind of thing. What else was there going to be? I'm trying to think on the webbot stuff. The just-in-time delivery stuff with food. There's going to be a major problem with the food again. Again, with the transportation stuff, there's going to be problems with places that are going to be, you know, shelves empty kind of thing, where people are struggling to get food. This has been in the data for a long time, and I've always been stocking food. I have not stocked any or stored any storable food, such as what do you call it, freeze-dried or dehydrated, because I've already got a good quantity of it for my family. Not to mention, I'm surrounded by farmers around here. And I've got all kinds of organic seeds for everything, you know, every kind of fruit and vegetable you can think of, that they don't have probably in their possession here. They're just doing the normal farming thing. Well, I'm going to do a bunch of corn, I'm going to do a bunch of soybean, or whatever they do, right? They're not like stocking up for themselves. They stock up to make money because they're farmers. They've got to make money, so corn, whatever, that's what we're selling, that's what they do. But if old JSnip 4 went over there, listen, you know, like I'm counting out dollars, $20 bills, got some beets, some onions, you know, got some collard greens, got some lettuce, got some this, and you know what I mean, all that good stuff, peppers. They'd be quickly in a hurry to say, oh, you know, I'll grow it, just give me the seeds, you know, and then I would more than be willing to help if that kind of thing happened. So I've got a lot of my bases covered. I got so much water in this whole area, from little tiny streams that just retain water constantly, to bigger ones that are a quarter of a mile from my house. I can walk down there with a freaking bucket if I had to. I mean, just really close. And those are some larger ones, significantly larger streams. So I'm going to finish listening to this webbot thing tonight, more than likely. I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm actually going to fast forward it. I'm going to edit the audio, fast forward it by 150%, save it, or in other words, speed it up so I can listen to him talk fast. So I don't have to sit there for an hour and a half. I can sit there for 45 minutes, listen to him talk fast, and then I can write it down. The key things he talks about that I want to write down. Because I know there's a few other things I just don't remember right now that I did want to talk about that he mentions, and just started to get into some of the better stuff that I was waiting to hear, and I had to stop it. So I'm going to probably add on to this video. You'll see this video now, and then I'll do a second video either tonight or tomorrow, because my day is off tomorrow also. My days off are Sunday and Monday now. So anyways, I got to get back to cruising around here, go get the kids, give them a little ride, because it's just awesome over here.